The worst advice I was given by somebody was that take any job in Canada, it counts as Canadian experience. No, it does not. Any job will not get you anything. The right job for the thing that you're preparing for you're studying for, will do. I've come to UFV to make a better life for myself, for my family, for the people in front of me who are yet to come. Well, then you better be prepared for that life. Do not take a minimum wage job, for God's sake. You've not spent tens of 20s of lakh of rupees to go there to work at stupid Tim Hortons and McDonald's. Whilst sales has to do with selling, and so does marketing, marketing's job is just to make sure that you are ready to hear the sales.
Interesting. So if attention is the game, then hooks are the solution, right?
Canada is the worst place to do your studies and exist your life in, and here's why. If you don't have anything to look forward to, if you don't have the right goals in your mind, and if you don't want to succeed, do not go to Canada. Stay where you are, be happy with the mates that you have. But if you do want to succeed, if you do want to do more with your life, if you do want a holistic approach, UFV is a good place to be.
That's a great ad, man. That's actually a pretty good ad. Welcome, everyone. Today we have with us Mr. Bhavkaran Singh Bhatia, who is an Fraser Valley, India alumni. He graduated in 2020 from the BBA program. How are you doing today, Bhavkaran?
Doing great, yeah. Happy to be back. Lovely to see the changes in the university and all this stuff. Lovely to meet you. Doing good.
Very nice to meet you as well, Bhavkaran. So before, when you were a part of the BBA program here, you were very extensively involved with the student company program. You were the CEO of the organization called TAGS. Can you tell us what year was TAGS founded in?
So I would have started in 2016. So 2016, June or July, I believe we started, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, that is the founding year. A little bit about the company, if you're asking, would be, it was a very, very enlightening experience, to say the least. I entered the whole program thinking that I have a certain skill set, certain knowledge base that got completely shattered when the program started. And the funniest part is you'll see this being drawn as a comparison with the current student company programs is that a lot of them say that they found friendships for lifetime. I destroyed my friendships because of the position I was in. And simply because I hadn't honed myself as a leader yet. Okay. That was the experience I took from this program.
So it was it was more like a reality check for you.
100%. Through the course of it, I found myself in this third-person perspective. You know, I say, you have an out-of-body experience where you can see yourself. And I saw myself being this dictator to my friends. And after a certain point, I saw how they had started to hate me through the course of it. Whilst my intentions were to make sure that the company program succeeds, making sure that whatever money we've raised from the parents, the teachers, the students, the investors, the stakeholders goes back to them and it doesn't end in a loss, which is pressure. And then making sure everything works the way it's supposed to, inventory is coming on time, sales are happening the way they're supposed to. You're doing sales, you're doing HR, you're doing marketing all at the same time in the first year. It's a lot to take on, especially when you might not be as skilled as you think you are. So to have that reality check that, hey, Bhav, yeah, you're not a leader yet, was something worth my weight in gold.
I can completely understand that. It was like you were able to discover a part of yourself that you hadn't reflected upon yet. All right, and it shaped. Did it shape your future career? Were you able to take some learnings from it? And
I would say failures teach you the most. This was my most expensive failure, and the most I've learned through an experience as well. I account it to be a failure in the aspects that, hey, look at all these friends I lost. Hey, look at all this behavior that I created. Insert some really bad, absurd language here. But that's how they felt I was. Yeah. And to be true, that's how I actually was. I was quite, and so to them, I was quite a bad leader, ordering them around. I remember being in the pressure of, oh my God, this isn't done, calling them up in the middle of the night at 12, that, hey, stay up with me, we need to get this done. Costing them their health, their time, my own health, my own time, Sanya ma'am's time, Sanya ma'am's health. A lot went into it in these 9 months. Yes, we ended on a profitable note, but at what cost?
These seem like very crucial life lessons.
Yeah, what I learned out of it, something that I always carry with me, is that none of it will be sustainable, none of it will be worth it if the people that you work with aren't happy, if the people that you work with aren't fulfilled. You know that Japanese concept of ikigai? If people don't feel that they're in the right position at the right time, doing all the things that they want to mentally, spiritually, emotionally, through your business, through your experience, they won't be there. And if the right people aren't on the company, then your company isn't a company anymore. It's just a shell.
Very interesting. A lot of people that I speak to talk about how important people are to a business, how essentially everything that is related to success or failure of a business is generally determined by the kind of talent you and the kind of culture you propagate amongst your people. Currently, you're working with multiple organizations, right? The Unified, the Unimarck, which is a family legacy that's been running for the past 40 years, and you guys have also started a different company that particularly deals with cosmetics now, Uniqaya. So, how have your learnings from being the CEO of Tags translated into your roles in these organizations?
Let's break it down. I'll give you different varied examples because I use different aspects in each, right? When you're thrown into the student company program, you're basically given the full ownership and responsibility of creating this business by yourself, for yourself. And in that span, you're dealing with, like I said, sales, the product, the quality, the people you hire, what tasks they need to do, how you manage their tasks, how you encourage them, how you motivate them, how you make sure that your marketing is done the right way, how do you make sure that you're saying the right things at the right times to the right people. If you translate it back into the theoretical knowledge, your target market, your brand voice guidelines, your brand structures, your sales structures, your HR systems, all need to be working in these different pillars for it to be a functioning company. Now, it's easy to say, oh, this is a student company and there's teachers involved, they can do this. But when you're actually thrown into it at UFV, where teachers aren't hand-holding you, but they're forcing you to swim on the deep side of the ocean, you either sink or swim. That mindset is the biggest thing that I bring to each and every aspect of my professional self. That, hey, everything is sink or swim. And there's a certain ownership that lies within me as a leader, and that ownership needs to be fulfilled. How it translates for these particular companies, for Unified, it's our latest introduction in the term of businesses that I have. So the Unified, we're creating all the structures. Himalaya and Priya also graduates from UFV. My partner's in it, and we're setting up all these structures as we speak, hiring people as we speak, making sure they have the perfect job descriptions, making sure they have the perfect job responsibilities, so that we can evaluate them, we can hold them accountable, and they can hold us accountable as well to make sure that we're both getting what we need out of it. At Unimarck, it's a legacy of 40 years. There's more than 500 people involved just as employees, making sure that they're fed by giving them salaries on time, making sure that pandemics like COVID don't affect us because these people are affected. We make medicines, making sure that the quality is up to the mark in the most perfect way possible. They seem like small mental notes, but when you start taking them on, they're quite detailed. Because how do you do a quality check? How do you make sure that these people are evaluated properly? How do you actually pay them? Those questions, at least the base for me, I got to learn and I got to answer through the company program. So when I was doing this for the real time, it wasn't so jarring, and I didn't feel like a headless chicken running across, right? So even with Unimarck, when I enter the place, the biggest change that I've noticed is that people who've been working in this industry for decades, They recognize you as, okay, this person is speaking some sense. He's not just the latest kid entering the block. He knows what he's speaking. Those many things add on to quite a lot. The ripple effects that are there.
No, I think you're describing a very forward-thinking work culture, where you're just as accountable to your employees as they are to you.
It must be.
Why marketing?
I'll actually start with why business, why BBA. Sure. So, knowing the background that I'm from, having that legacy of a full-fledged pan-Asian company that is well recognized in the industry and people know us by the name as something, it's something that I've always taken with a lot of pride, yes, but also as a lot of responsibility. That, hey, I need to make sure that when I'm there to take it on, I am equipped with the skills to actually lead it and not just, be given it. And I always knew business is something I wanted to pursue. It was like they say, ki khoon mein tha. It was in my blood. I felt it. I always have felt that. So I knew business was something I wanted to do. And throughout the years, as I was developing my own emotional structures, my own mental structures inside as a human being, I found my peace through theater. I found my peace through music. I learned a lot of instruments along the way. I got into theater as a professional actor. A lot of creative elements, tried painting, tried sketching, learned a few languages, all those things. And I realized, okay, as much as my desire is to be a business person, my passion lies in this creative field. So when I joined UFV, my biggest task was, how do I merge these two things? Because I don't want to do without either of these. Marketing seemed to be the answer. I got to be the creative person I could, but I also got to use the strategic brain that I had. I got to make marketing plans, I got to make business plans that are pure strategy and creativity. I got to create sales structures that are pure creativity, and then pairing it with how to actually influence the people you're targeting is pure theater. How to build videos, how to shoot photos, how to put the right music on. Well, these were literal skills I had learned along the years, and I could just transfer them over. So that's why marketing.
So let's talk about theater. How did your passion for theater begin?
I've grown up in a single parent family with just me and my grandparents. Never had a dad in the picture, and my mom got divorced way back in 1998 when I was just before I was born. Now, in 1998 in India, having been a divorcee is not only taboo, it's frowned upon. Being a child of that meant being bullied, meant being a lot of things throughout the early years of my schooling. And as I grew, my mom recognized that I was shutting down. My mom recognized that I was creating this shell that I was just being enclosed in. So we changed schools. We came to Vivek High, and they had this theater program. They had this theater thing that they did every year. They called it the Founders Day. On each Founders Day every year, they would celebrate it by putting up a theater performance, a play. And that's where I met my mentor, Zubin Mehta. He introduced me to the world of theater, and he was actually the first one to help me crack that shell, make me feel that, hey, it's okay to be the way you are. Even if you might be seen as the weird one, you might be seen as the quirky one, it's okay, because the world is filled with people like you. And if you don't shine the way you want to, well, that's one more star that just dies, but people need to see your shine.
That's beautiful. It's self-acceptance.
And that's when my journey started. I remember the first play I did with him and the first scripting session we had, where you just read the lines with the director one-on-one. Within 5 minutes and more, I cried. And I had no reason to cry. All I remember was him just asking me to say the same lines again and again and again in different ways. And all I could think of was, I have no idea what emotions are there except for this one that I'm used to. But to be faced with that reality at however old I was back then really just cracked me open. I was like, okay, There's more emotions in the basic happiness, sorrow, and pain. Okay.
That's great. So you were able to discover your spectrum of emotions through this play. It's very interesting. Your theater bio is mentioned in your LinkedIn, and there are a couple of plays mentioned in it. I didn't see all of them, but the ones that stuck out to me that I have a notion of are very tragic plays. August Osage County, tragedy comedy, Death of a Salesman, which is I've read that play and kind of analyzed it, and it is a very depressing, truly depressing play. So I just want to get an understanding of the kind of plays and the kind of art that really resonates with you. Is it tragedy? Is it is it?
So I wouldn't call those experiences as much as a reflection of my experiences.
Okay.
Those are just the ones that we picked at the time, which were different than what the others were putting up.
Okay.
So whilst majority of other theatre schools were putting up things like Sound of Music and the musical, which also I've done, but at those times to just create a difference, something that was more meaningful, my director picked these. This was more his style to show the beauty in tragedy and to show the comedy in tragedy. So not really my style, I would say, but I did develop a very dark sense of humor through it, which I hold very dear to my existence.
I think everyone should have a dark sense of humor. Let's talk a little bit about Death of a Salesman. What did you play in Death of a Salesman?
The concept we follow in all of my learning was as that you embody the role. Yes. Now, don't quote me on this because I'm going to butcher this author's name, Stanis Savinsky. I believe he created the art of method acting.
Okay.
And what that basically lays out is that you embody the role so much that you're actually living it. Yes. It's no longer a performance for you, you actually are it. Mm-hmm. Now, the issue I found with living somebody else's life was you remember it in absolute detail as you're living it, but once you've lived it, you don't really recall memories. Neither should you hold on to them because it affects your personal life. So that's
very interesting.
That was a thing I developed, and as I've done these roles, immediately once I'm done with them, I forget about them.
No, I can understand why, because I think Death of a Salesman is like this tragic account of this man's like decline, right? He used to be a really good salesman, made some bad choices, and he's stuck in an industry or at a place where he's not able to level up, and everyone around him is kind of changing, and he's still trying to hold on to that. So it's like he's losing all of it like in one go, and his attitude doesn't change. It's a very powerful piece, I feel.
100% it is. But to answer your question, I believe I played the role of Charlie, who is Willy Loman's neighbor and best friend.
Who's like the guy who's looking out for him, who's always offering him money to just help him out. But
yes, that was.
He was actually one of my favorite characters because he was this genuinely nice guy who was trying to help this person out, and that guy wouldn't listen to him because he was, I think, so egotistical, perhaps, or just so entrenched,
stuck in his ways. I remember when we were going through it. Another exercise we do is when we're trying to gel with other actors and their mindsets is draw comparatives of, okay, this is how you would react in this situation, how would they react? And one parallel that at least we drew out of it was that Charlie and Willy were actually just two sides of the same coin. One let go of his ways to learn the new ones and found success in it. The other just kept holding on to it and just kept ringing the same bell that, hey, this is the way, and then just declining. And throughout the play, it's just Charlie trying to show him that, hey, just give it up.
Very interesting. And you said you're currently acting as well. Is there any production that you're a part of right now, or any that you were recently part of that you were?
My most recent one, to be honest with you, was just when COVID hit. We were doing Richard III with UFV in Canada. And we were on our third performance when the lockdown hit, out of 9 performances. So we didn't get to complete that performance routine either. That got kind of disconnected, and since then I've slowly started taking a back seat because my professional career started to pick up. But it's something that I hold dear to me. If I ever get a chance, whenever I do get a chance, I love to be involved.
Let's talk about UFV Canada. How was the experience of transitioning from FVI to University of Fraser Valley?
The teaching sides, which is UFV something very good at. Just taking away your phones at the start of the class especially for my generation, it's something like, oh my God, you're taking my phone away from me. This is my soul. What do you want? And I know a lot of kids face that same problem as well. We had our own share of problems. Kids brought 2 phones just so they wouldn't have to submit their actual one.
That's very clever.
People do all sorts of things, right? But having that phone away from you, making sure you concentrate in class, sets up a structure, at least in your mind, for the first 2 years that, hey, when you're there will be no hand holding because the professors aren't as involved as they are here compared to that side, because they're taking on a much larger batch size, much more in terms of what they're teaching. Same professors are teaching maybe 6 courses. They have to manage all these students, all these curriculums, and they're not as involved. They will not come to you and ask, hey, Bhav, did you do this? Why didn't you do this? The professors here do because they care. But knowing that, okay, these 3 hours, no phone, just concentrate on your studies, get into the mindset of learning, was a huge shift in my learning experience. So that when I landed there and when I experienced the class on that side, I was still prepared. Making sure that the professors are after you that, hey, you need to know this before we start the class, not during. We won't read like you did in high school the chapter as we're teaching it. You must know it before. We're only discussing questions. It's a huge transition that I don't think nobody talks about. I don't think anybody talks about. Because you know as well as I do, in high school, we read chapters together. The teachers explain concepts as we go through it. Canada is not like that. You must know everything before. And if you show up unprepared, you won't know what they're talking about because there's 150 students around you asking questions that they need answers to. They're very on point of, hey, I have 3 hours. I have a million questions to ask the professor. I will not share my time with anybody else. So you're already in a competitive environment where they have their own questions, they have their questions, and you might have your questions as well. So learning how to frame your questions in a way that you can understand from them, and also ask your questions. It's quite a big balance that you need to create for your own self.
No, I think that's very good advice for people who are who are about to transition to Canada now. Let's talk about your experience right after graduation, or maybe perhaps you had your first job in Canada before you graduated. Can you talk about your first job? What was your first job?
My first job in Canada was at some store called Mastermind Toys. Okay. And I'm going to talk to you, whoever's listening. Do not take a minimum wage job, for God's sake. You've not spent tens of 20s of lakh of rupees to go there to work at stupid Tim Hortons and McDonald's. The worst advice I was given by somebody was that take any job in Canada. It counts as Canadian experience. No, it does not. Any job will not get you anything. The right job for the thing that you're preparing for you're studying for, will do. I highly recommend to every single student who goes there, find a job in the field that you want to work in. Get an internship, get something that you can just start in, find campus jobs if you can. Work with the professors, be teaching assistants, be a part in their own personal projects because you can. You can ask professors if they have their own personal projects going on, and usually they take students on for that as well. Those experiences are worthwhile. They're the ones that will teach you. My first experience in a job was Mastermind Toys, putting toys on the shelf, selling stupid Rubik's Cube. I learned nothing out of it except for sales, which, to be frank with you, if I was working in a proper position, I would have still learned. Did I learn something from mopping the floors? God, no. So my experience was not something that should be experienced by anybody else. That's the biggest takeaway I wanted to mention here and to anybody I meet.
No, absolutely. I think this is a learning that you've had, and I'm very glad you shared this. And I hope that it will be helpful for people who are still so confused about what is expected of them when they go to Canada, especially with the job market, because there's so much conflicting information about like what people should be doing and shouldn't be doing. So it's nice to hear from someone who has first-hand experience.
Again, drawing those parallels, right? Here's my perspective, here's my mindset. If you're coming to UFV, you've thought of a better future for yourself, for your family. Let's be honest. Is your better future for yourself, for your family, through the paths of Tim Hortons and McDonald's and these minimum paying jobs? No. You want to go to this country to sustain yourself in the same level of life that you have here, if not more. Here you're being served hand over heels with servants, chauffeurs, buys and maids who come to you and clean for you. And there you're struggling to just pay your own bills because you're too busy working at a coffee shop. Is absurd. But that's the mindset people are in because they think, oh, yaar, aap to PR lani hai. What's with that? You did not spend so much of your parents' money to just do this. Having that mindset, I feel, is the biggest thing because once you land there, yes, it's tough. Yes, it's almost impossible. I've seen my own batchmates go back to India because they couldn't crack it. And nothing against them. It's very hard for somebody to go from everything that they are here, having a name for yourself, having a name for your family, to go to a place where nobody cares for you is a very different experience. Perhaps people don't want it, and that's fine. But if you've thought for yourself that, hey, I've come to UFV to make a better life for myself, for my family, for the people in front of me who are yet to come, well, then you better be prepared for that life. You better go ready to fight from day zero that, hey, I'm here to make something of myself. I'm not here to waste my time in doing the lala things that everybody else is doing, which you will have time for and you must do because balance. But remember what your purpose is. Remember why you're actually here.
Your first job, you did not like that much. But when did you go into a role that you thought was truly for you, meant for you?
So it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I found good friends. I found good managers there. They liked my sense of humor. They liked my work style. It was all fun and games.
But you thought you thought it was an unnecessary experience, or you could have used your time better.
I've always known that my final goal is to have my own business. Like most of the kids here who have business backgrounds do. When you know you will be in a position of leadership, is there really use for you in working at the most out of field job that you can find that is just there to fulfill your basic needs? No, you can fulfill your basic needs in the most direct job that serves the same purpose, but you can learn from it. Now, yes, the true hallmark of a learner is that they can learn anywhere. And I'm not saying that I didn't learn from these jobs. I did. And you have to. But I would have learned so much more. I would have been in the position I am today so much sooner had I done a co-op, had I found an internship that was in marketing, had I done more projects with my professors, if I was just told that, hey, this is the way, not that. And to answer your question, where was the role that I found myself to be actually to be fit for me, is the stuff that I'm doing today. Okay. So, and this is a story that again, Priya will also share with you when she's here, is that throughout the years in Canada, I've cribbed to each and every one of my friends that I'm unfulfilled in this job. I hate jobs. I don't want to answer to somebody. I don't want to work for somebody else. I don't want to put all my blood, sweat, and effort to somebody who I think that might not be doing justice to that role or to that business. When I believe in my heart and my soul that, hey, I can do the same thing slightly differently and maybe better, you wouldn't want to stick to that role for too long. So, cribbing through the years and my friends saying, okay, why don't you start your own thing? Just why don't you start your own thing? And me having excuses, oh, not the right time, don't have the experience, don't have the money. And just slowly, those excuses kept eliminating after every iteration of that question. Why aren't you doing this? Oh, I've already answered this. That's not true anymore. I've already answered this. That's not true anymore. You run out of excuses after a certain point. And then I started my own company. That's where I am the most fulfilled. That's where I find myself being happy emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, willing to jump out of bed at 3 a.m., 1 p.m., 8 a.m. because, hey, this is what I wanted to do all my life.
Beautiful. And it's very interesting that the organization, the Unified, that you're so excited about, the role that you're enjoying so much, is actually founded with two other FVI alumni.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with them, how your professional association began, and perhaps how you know them at a personal level?
No. So these two are Himalaya Sharma. He is also a BCIS 2020 graduate, and Priya Kalra, BCIS 2020 graduate. Now, these both are lovely human beings. The nicest, wholesome people you will meet on the block. These folks and many others have been by my side through thick and thin, through rain, hail, or snow, being there by my side, guiding me, helping me, and vice versa. I've been closest to these guys both in sharing my vision and what I wanted to create. And they were the ones who kept pestering me the most.
Okay. These were the people asking you, that's not,
Yeah.
what's the excuse now? And that's not really.
Yeah. Priya being at the forefront of it. Priya being the way she is, she loves poking at people. Hey, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Which, if you know her at a personal level, gets annoying really fast. But at a professional level, it helps. But these two people are my heart and soul. I've been through so much with them. Fights, arguments, more fights, lovely days, drunk nights, drunk weekends, a lot of drunken sides. But a lot of fun experiences I've had with them through the years. And I always knew that, hey, if I were to do something, I don't want to do it alone. Because what's the point if you can't share all this with the people you love? And I knew I wanted to do it with somebody. It just became a question of whom. And then, as they say in the movies, the stars align, the wind starts to blow, the bell starts to ring. It just started happening. The excuses ran out on one day. The name came out on this one day. This purpose got created, and a question appeared, hey, why won't you just help me with this since you're helping me with this for so long? And they were also like, yeah, why not? Taking them on, having them come on board, having them take on my vision, adding theirs, and then creating something that's ours. It's a very wholesome experience. It's indescribable. It's ineffable.
It's very inspiring, and it sounds very exciting to be in business with people that you were in college with, and then transition to Canada with, and then remained friends with during your professional career.
It's not all fun and games. We fight every day, and I'm not kidding. We fight every day. We will go from conversations about, oh my God, this is great work, to what have you done here? This is horrible. Like that. But to know that you can talk about this stuff so openly with these guys, knowing that it's because I have these bond over so many years with these people, is the reason we can be like that. Is the reason I also find that we've found immediate success. Is the reason we've had X amount of clients, and we've actually held every single one of them till date. We're 8.5 months into existence. We've done our first round of hiring already as interns. We're moving on to our second. And soon, within this year, we'll be looking to hire full-time employees as well. For startups in the service industry, in marketing and IT, in Canada, that's insane. And to start without any capital investment is an even bigger thing. But I feel somewhere along the line, as I mentioned, just the Big Bang happened in the universe, and our universe just aligned perfectly.
Amazing. How do you balance your time between India and Canada?
Remember how I mentioned I don't handle caffeine?
Yes.
There's a lot of caffeine. So here's my usual schedule so far. Your 10 to 6 is normal working hours for the Unified. And then once the night falls, starting around 9 p.m. till like 3 a.m., the clock flips. Then I work for the Unimarck and Uniqaya as much as I can. When I'm here, that flips again. Morning time is for Unimarck and Uniqaya. Night time is for Unified. And that's basically how I exist. Weekends is for time off, for messing around with friends and having fun. Weekdays is work.
That's very interesting. You have a very intensive work days. What keeps you going?
Like I told you, it doesn't feel like it. When I'm doing this, compared to how I was working at the other jobs, even 3 hours felt exhausting. I didn't feel like putting in more than that amount of work. Here, I know everything that I'm doing for myself. I'm creating for my own future, for the people that I'm involved with. Because here I have direct ownership over responsibilities and the people attached. I feel like, hey, it's not just something that I want, but it's something that I should be doing because others wake up to serve a purpose that we created together. How dare I not do my best? Because that would be unjust to them. They've trusted their blood, sweat, time, effort, and soul to this cause that realistically, I just said one day, hey, do you want to do this? And they just took it on. How dare I not seriously and justify it for them?
Absolutely. Very interesting use of words there. Just and fair. Interesting. Let's talk about some of your favorite memories from Fraser Valley, India. Oh, what sticks out?
Um, a lot of the experiences that I've had here, definitely, um, because UFV is so enriched with events. There's always something happening. There's always something happening that you can be a part of or something that you can do. I remember in the first year being so heavily involved in the clubs. I got to meet so many people. I got to teach them so many things. Sharing my theater knowledge with somebody and having them break down on the first day the way I did, it was holistic. It was wholesome because I could see the change that they found, that I found years ago. Being able to teach the kids some skills that they did not have, learning from them that I don't have, was something that I loved. I loved doing that. But the fun part was, like I told you, student ambassador program was something that was initiated in my first year, and I got to be a part of it. That meant organizing events for everybody, and we did this 1 week long event marathon, let's call it, during Diwali season, where we had a modeling night, we had this festival of nights, we had this festival of lights night, and a lot of other things. And having to do that with these friends was just something I really, really love. I remember this one experience. One of my closest friends, Komal, also a 2020 BBA graduate, was that sitting in math class, I believe math 120, and doing a quiz, and ma'am is at the back helping somebody, and I couldn't answer a question. And I vividly remember it was something as simple as 2 plus 2 equals what? And I remember writing 2 plus 2 equals 5. And Komal peeking over and just laughing out loud during the class as the quiz is happening and everybody stumbled what's happening. Ma'am reading my answer and also laughing because what's this? And just everybody being involved in that, everybody laughing, not at you, but with you, was a big difference from my own background, from where I've been, the experiences I've had, which immediately felt like, okay, you know what? This place can truly be my own. I can truly make it something for myself here.
That's very interesting. And you continue to remain involved with the institute as an alumni. Can you talk about how you view the institute now?
I'm also able to draw the parallels of what went wrong when we were being put through this process. For me, being the extroverted person I am, I was absolutely fine being thrown into the deep end. In fact, I encouraged it. I wanted to take on more, I wanted to do more, I wanted to learn more. And that's something that I've always carried with me. The others who perhaps aren't as bold at that time in their lives find it very hard to do that. I remember us having Toastmasters and these kids, I remember them joining in, and the way they spoke on day one versus they spoke on day X, it's incredible how people can transform.
It was a very rewarding experience for you.
Well, not if I detach myself from it. Just seeing their own journey is beautiful, right? And you get to experience it, it's amazing. I remember making this really, really long WhatsApp message that broke down the first 2 weeks of Canada, what they need to do each day in time to make sure that they're ready for their classes. Making sure to get their bank cards, their PCID cards, where to get them, how to reach there, what to use, blah, 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 blah. And Funny thing was, I created it. I sent it in like 2020, 2021. And in 2022, I got sent the message back by one of the alums saying that, hey, I got this message. Is it accurate? Yeah, I made this.
But that's very cool that you took the initiative of trying to create something that would help other people. I think that speaks to the kind of person you are. Let's talk a little bit about your latest venture. I know Unified is the most recent one, but what I'm actually meant to talk about was Uniqaya and your role um, as a director of marketing.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what this company is, what it's trying to create, and how you see it?
Uniqaya, as you'll see, we draw a comparison, and there is a parallel here. Unimarck, Uniqaya, Unified. There's a universal trend that we're following with the unis. And it's something that, again, just clicked. It wasn't intentional, it just happened.
I thought it was deliberate.
It happened. Now that it has happened and people have pointed it out, we're like, yeah, now it needs to be deliberate.
Very interesting.
But Unikaya stands for uni for unique and kaya for skin. And the whole purpose, the whole concept behind this is that even with my mum having access to the international brands since day one of her journey, she's seen how there has always been a huge neglect in skincare in India. So she wanted to bring to life this wave, this culture of skincare, where people can understand that, hey, it's no longer a luxury, but it's a necessity. That your skin is the largest organ of your body. It deserves the care and the love from you. And then self-care came on, a lot of things got involved. But what Unicare at its core stands for is helping people be their own kind of beautiful. Because everybody is beautiful. And our products exist in that realm as well. Cruelty-free, some vegan products, chemical-free, sulfate-free, all clinically tested, clinically proven ingredients and products that are actually beneficial and effective. Clean and functional skincare. That is what this brand stands for.
That's very interesting. Chandigarh women are making a mark in the cosmetic field as far as like clean, because I think even the founder of Mama Earth, Ghazal, is from Chandigarh, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing. The vision for the organization and the kind of work that you guys are doing sounds very interesting. Any products that you're super excited about launching, or perhaps that are already in market?
Well, okay, here's what's going to sound biased. Like, I love all my products. I use all of them. But yes, we're launching about 6 new products this year, and they're all in development as we speak. We're coming out with new ranges, new sets of ingredients and products for different kind of concerns. I'm not going to delve deeper into what they are because we have a plan to launch them. Yeah. But that also speaks to what I do there, the question you asked. My involvement, whilst it's holistic, because again, we are a startup, so you have to be everywhere at all the times. You have to don all the hats whenever you can, sometimes multiple hats at once. But my direct involvement is making sure that if this is the product, how does it reach to the right person and it conveys the right message to them? Like I told you that, hey, skincare is no longer a luxury, it's a need. When you walk out in the sun without a sunscreen, it is damaging you by literal seconds. From the moment you step out to the moment you walk in, your skin has literally aged. And something as simple as sunscreen can prevent it. But not just any sunscreen, because they also have nasties, they also have chemicals that you need to be aware of. And then also telling the people that, hey, did you know that the biggest thing that you use throughout your life also ages and damages your skin, your gadgets, the blue light from it? How do you protect yourself from that? Again, sunscreen is something that we developed. So one of our hero products, one of my favorite, is the tinted sunscreen, which is protection from sun and screen.
That's very cool. I didn't know that the light from devices, the blue light from devices, can also cause your skin to age.
Absolutely. This is the biggest challenge that we face. So making sure that the people know this, and then also making them use this product. Then.
So you're educating the consumer while you're pitching them the product.
Our biggest thing has always been information. That's something that my mom, Dr. Gagan Bhatia, also believes in, that our purpose is not to sell. Our purpose is to equip people with the knowledge and tools that they need to do this for themselves. That is why Uniqaya is having success the way it is. We're not selling to you, we're making sure that you know what you need and why you need it. And hey, now that you agree you need this, we actually have this as well.
Very interesting. So the kind of sunscreen that blocks against the UV radiation from the sun is the same kind of sunscreen that blocks against the blue light from a device?
No, so we break it down by different ingredients that offer different kinds of protection. So there's UVA lights and UVB lights, and another one that I'm forgetting at this time. But these are two different spectrums of the rays that affect our skin. One affects the surface, one affects the deeper level. So one is affecting the collagen reparation of your skin, the deeper levels. One is breaking down the skin barriers that you have on your face. Now, the biggest issue we have in India is as the sun is beating you down, the pollution is causing you harm as well. And then you have humidity, then you have dehydration, then you have all these environmental factors and noises that are going on that other countries benefit from a little bit in terms of not having those. So making sure that we have the right products that tackle all that with a moisturizer that offers 8 hours plus of protection. So it literally binds with the moisture in your skin and locks it in, thanks to this ingredient called hydrominal, which is a naturally occurring ingredient, which takes on the moisture on already existing place and then locks it within itself. So your skin is not being dehydrated throughout the day. Equipping you with a retinol serum, which is not just any retinol, but a scientifically proven method of encapsulation, in which it is going deeper into your skin thanks to the encapsulation of vitamin A. And as it goes deeper, that's where it breaks and it repairs the deeper level of your skin. So by the time the skin sheds and comes on top, it's already plump and moisturized and hydrated.
Very interesting.
So all those technical things are something that we do our studies in the background, and then we try to inform the people that, hey, this is what's happening, this is what this range is about.
It's very interesting to note that we have about 15 plus student clubs at Fraser Valley, India. And before the podcast began, you rattled off a list of about 5 or 6 of them and told me that you founded all of them, which is a great, because they're still going on and so many students are still benefiting from these clubs and they're very active. Like you can go on to their social media channels and find, especially Beat to the Rhythm, and I think the Serving Humanity Club, and I think even the musical club, which is I think is called Crackers, and I don't want to ruin the name, but the music club is also doing very well as far as producing content is concerned. Tell me a little bit about how you went on this journey of opening up multiple clubs during your years at Fraser Valley, India.
All thanks to Sanya ma'am. Credit where credit is due. This is all because of Sanya ma'am. Because a few of the clubs had shut down because the batch before me had left. Sanya ma'am was after me that, hey, you know these things, open up more clubs so kids can do stuff. And I reluctantly said, ma'am, I don't want to do this. Why do you? I just want to study and do my stuff. It's like, no, love, you can do more, do more. I'm like, okay. So whilst I wasn't involved in Serving Humanity, I was involved in the other clubs at, if not the most primary capacity, at least to some capacity. The ones that I founded were the photography club, the theater club, Toastmasters I was the president of for a long, long time. I really enjoyed that. So Serving Humanity, I served in the capacity of just being in it. And the debate club was something that I also co-founded with the person who was there at that time. So a lot of the clubs we created just out of the need that, hey, these are things that this place can have and people can benefit from. And we served our purpose throughout the 2 years we were here. And then we, at least I sort of believe that once I leave these, that's it. The next Bhavkaran will come in and create his own set of clubs, and that'll be the cycle. I got to know once I graduated and I came back that these clubs still existed. So that was very, very heartwarming. It was something that I now take a lot of pride in. And I'm very happy about it. I could share something and create something that the kids now can benefit. So it was never intended to be something that never in my mind I thought, all right, 6 years down the line, you're going to come back to the campus that you were in. And remember that club you started just because ma'am kind of forced it on you? It's actually serving a purpose now. People are actually happy to be a part of this and they're actually learning something from it. It's amazing.
That's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about marketing.
Of course.
What is your ideology as far as marketing is concerned? Let's say, what do you think? Okay, let's begin with what are some of the challenges of marketing in today's age?
Perfect. So I feel one of the biggest distinctions people still aren't clear with is between marketing and sales. Whilst sales has to do with selling, and so does marketing, marketing's job is just to make sure that you are ready to hear the sales. It's not to actually sell you. It's to make sure that you're ready and you want to. The biggest challenge I think we face now, and it's all thanks to our attention spans, which, by the way, I'm sure you know this, but in the past 7 years, we've seen the largest decline of attention spans in humans since the past 50 years. Our attention span has effectively gone down for more than about 50%. Right now, I think it's just about or less than the attention span of a goldfish. And the goldfish's attention span is about 3 seconds, if I'm not wrong. Do fact check, I'm not sure.
But I see it. I see it around me where people are so consumed by the devices, so consumed by these.
So now you've gone from that clutter of having ads thrown in your face through newspapers and printed ads and cold calls to now being ads thrown in your face on social media and the content you consume through your phone. And when you're facing a generation that's addicted to doom scrolling and just being on their phones all the time, the biggest challenge is to cut through that noise and actually make them want to give you their attention. Because the most important thing that every single marketer is now fighting over is for your attention. Not for your money, not for your, trust, not for anything else, but just your attention. That's why you have concepts like attention hacking. That's why you have concepts like short form video content, which did not exist. We've gone from people who could watch the same content for hours and hours of time to now, I've literally seen this on TikTok, where you have movies being posted on TikTok in snippets. So you don't have to watch the 3-hour movie, but you can be done with it in 30 minutes. And people actually watch it. These channels have millions of subscribers because people actually want to see this kind of content. And by people, I mean the next generation. So it's insane how you'll have to edit your own concept of information in this limited 1 to 2 second of time span. Because how do you tell a person in 2 seconds that, hey, I have a business or a service that can do you good. I have a skincare range that can do you good. I have medicines that can benefit you in 2 seconds.
Interesting. So if attention is the game, then hooks are the solution, right? Let's talk a little bit about hooks. What do you think of hooks? And do you have any, like, for instance, when I think of hooks, I generally think of inciting emotions, inciting either, I don't want to say it, but fear. Fear is a very easy emotion to incite in someone and to grab their attention. It works, right? There's also like authority. There are also other ways of doing it. What are some of your personal favorites, or what have you tried that has given you like a surprising result?
Canada is the worst place to do your studies and exist your life in, and here's why. If you don't have anything to look forward to, if you don't have the right goals in your mind, and if you don't want to succeed, do not go to Canada. Stay where you are, be happy with the mails that you have. But if you do want to succeed, if you do want to do more with your life, if you do want a holistic approach, UFV is a good place to be.
That's a great ad, man. That's actually a pretty good ad. Because it begins with the complete opposite, right? And when you give such a statement, it immediately raises someone's, like it's here someone's giving me an absolute statement, right? And then you qualify it, and of course, you're actually marketing Canada.
Yeah, it's absolutely that. It's making sure that your hooks are not just attention grabbers, but questions that people would actually like answered for them.
Yes, this is the whole argument against clickbaiting and hooks, right? Like clickbaits are basically things that you do just for clicks, but there's no reward to it. Like you get the click, but the user does not actually experience anything. Whereas a hook is more like we grab your attention, but we also give you something that you might need.
Absolutely.
Which is
Now, this varies down into different types of marketing, right? Where clickbaiting might work is if you just want views. If you're a YouTuber who just wants views on your videos, it's perfect. Just give them a thing that's not even relevant but makes people click. Doesn't matter if they stay through the end of the video, which actually is not true. If you're on YouTube, you want the people to stay till the end, but it's a type of marketing. But when you have a product and a service attached, when you have a whole business attached to it, that's not it. You want people to stay, you want people to trust, you want people to give you more attention, more time, and then eventually fulfill the action that you need them to do. One of the biggest things I learned at UFE with Cindy Stewart, she's one of the professors at UFE, is that as marketeers, our job is not to ask, but to give. You give, and then maybe ask. And then you repeat. You give, and then maybe ask. What that means is you give knowledge, you give information, you give it for free, you give it to earn their trust. Once you have it and once you know that they actually trust you, that's when you can maybe ask for what you actually wanted.
and it places the complete. It shifts the. I would say the balance of power towards the consumer rather than the marketer, and I think that's how it should be, right? In a completely fair.
No, absolutely. And that's what marketing in its essence stands for, right? Like I mentioned, it's not to sell to you, but it's to prepare you to be sold, prepare you to be sold to.
Yes, very good. What about some of the new tools that are coming, like for instance, ChatGPT, Midjourney, and I've also heard that there's some video editing tools like Opus that are doing really well. What do you think, and what do you think about the role of these tools in marketing going forward?
I love them. I absolutely am excited for them to be developed into a more wholesome and workable stage. What I mean by that is, I know many people are afraid, oh, AI is going to take over my job. Well, if you suck at your job, yes. If you're good at it, no, it's not going to happen. Because more often than not, I find myself on ChatGPT just brainstorming, and it helps me so much. The same thing that I would take hours to channelize and put on a piece of paper can be done in now 5 minutes, maybe less. And then I can build on it, which is where my actual purpose and my expertise lies. It's not to create hooks for 30-second ads, but it's to create a deeper level structure on these hooks that, okay, you have this content for 30 days, you have these hooks, but how are you actually causing them to convert into a CTA? How are you getting the trust and then converting them into actual sales? That's what your job is. It's not just to make this content, just to make these hooks. Let GPT do it. Let Midjourney make those logos for you, because I've used it too many times with the clients that we're designing logos for. I always first go to GPT or Midjourney or Oculus and see, make me this logo, make me this content calendar, and more often than not, it's crap. But it gives me a starting point.
Yeah, which is the most difficult part generally when you're creating something, right? The blank piece of paper.
I think it's the biggest asset for any creative person, because it has removed what we call the creative block, just like that.
It puts something immediately out there that you can.
And it's amazing, because if you truly know how to utilize it, I think it's awesome. I actually wanted to come to a fact where I can say that, hey, this is exactly what I want, and now I want you to make it. So it can make it, and I can start doing other things.
Very good. What do you think about the future of, like, you're involved in theater and stuff? Well, I think Sora was the new AI tool that came out, right? That could produce like photorealistic videos of specific, yeah, the OpenAI.
But yes. So I do remember reading about it.
So, what do you think about the future of like entertainment as far as like movies and theaters are concerned?
See, now that's something that I'm very concerned about because we've seen, and it's a fact, the law is decades behind innovation, always. You have the law now coming up to date with just social media and how it shares this information. Now you have US authorities trying to restrict the information that these conglomerates like Facebook and TikTok have gathered or are gathering. It's already been years into production. They have what they need. These laws are useless to them. Impose them. They have what they wanted. Now's the time with AI where the same thing will happen. The law will catch up once the harm is done. You already have the negative side of AI where people are using it to generate even truer and more realistic deepfakes. I've seen people create avatars, then sell these avatars in a very lewd and nude manner to just earn money. And it works. I've literally seen articles about people doing it and being able to quit their full-time jobs through it. How insane is that? They've been able to create a personality, a person which does not exist through AI, and many people are paying for it because either they're okay with it or they can't decipher that this is not a real person.
That's crazy.
By the time the law will catch up, and I really, really hope it catches up like yesterday, to safeguard the people who aren't so educated or perhaps aren't as nuanced as we in the field are. The average consumer in India who's scrolling through TikTok and Instagram may not realize that this is a deep fake or an actual actress being posed in that manner. They might think it to be true. That changes perceptions. What if you now just do the same thing but with a political leader? Now you're literally warping decisions that are to be made about the country, about the future, just by one image. So, in that aspect, it's scary. In that aspect, it's something that is very jarring and alarming. But I hope the law catches up.
Yeah, I think going forward into a world in which you're not able to tell even by through a video call or through messages whether you're talking to a real human being or not. The idea of it is so it's wild.
It is. I think I share this experience with everybody out there watching is that how annoying is it when you go to a restaurant and you just want to call them and be like, hey, can I get a reservation? And there is no call button. In Chandigarh, I have seen many restaurants remove their phone numbers from their Google postings just so that people can just book it through Zomato or Easy Diner so that they don't actually have to talk to people. For most people, that's great. For me, when I just want to know some details, like, hey, can I just make some arrangement? It's a special occasion. Can you do this for me? Or just having that human touch where I've made sure that, hey, I've talked to this person. I know what's happening. The disconnect becomes larger and larger as we keep going down this rabbit hole.
That's crazy. So we're going towards, you feel like the invention of these tools will actually encourage people to build walls and disconnect with people rather than just to be certain, that the people that they're interacting with or the people that they give their time to are actually real people. So we'll be going towards more secluded, perhaps more secluded.
That's my fear. We've already seen the rise of Apple Vision Pro, where you have, I'm not sure how prevalent it is here, but I've seen people in Canada where I live walking on the streets with those things on. Even though it's just released in US, people have managed to get their hands on it. And
does it concern you seeing the people walking around with these large devices on their heads?
Well, not so much as the fact that there's large devices on their heads, is the fact that it's the ego of us as humans to have seen and developed and just having created multi-million-dollar movies that show the downside of exactly what we're creating and still not implementing fail-safes in it is just insane. I can't remember this, but there's actually an AI which they call Skynet based on Terminator. How egotistical do you have to be to name it the thing that actually caused the destruction of humanity in an actual movie?
That's very interesting.
To me, that's what I draw my feels from. That's what I feel. Okay, I'm not sold on this because technologically, technologically it's a marvel where you can sit in the room. I can be talking to you, but still my hands can be working and doing things, and you don't have to know. I can be watching a podcast on my screen, still talking to you. I can still have Google make up my answers and say it in my ears. I never have to do a single thing.
Yeah, but do you think people it'll get to the level where you see everyone kind of just wearing an Apple Vision Pro in everyday life? Like you go into a classroom and everyone kind of has it on. It won't ever reach that.
I hope not, but yes, it will. Not this generation. Perhaps the next one. Because realistically, it's too big to be adopted. Perhaps if it becomes more modular, like a glass, the one similar to something like I'm wearing, then yes, absolutely. Why wouldn't people wear it?
Yeah, I think Meta is designing some sunglasses that are AI.
I'm sure. Meta has a, what do you call it? Meta already has a partnership with Ray-Ban with their AI glasses. That's what Meta does. No, that's Snapchat. Snapchat and Ray-Ban have that.
Oh, okay. All right, but I'm sure that Meta has like this AI glass thing as well, which is very cool. I think we can finish up with one final endorsement about Fraser Valley India. Your final thoughts on what this institution is, how it's helped you in your life, and how you think it perhaps it may be able to help other people. And yeah.
I'll give you this answer in like a few blocks, right? Here's the main things that I got to learn from UFE is one, the hands-on experience. Two, the functional knowledge that you actually need in the industry to succeed. Three, the opportunities that you can take benefit of just by being thrown into the deep end. That's where your actual learning is. So the most holistic answer that I could give that UFE's given me is that it has given me a very deep level opportunity to learn everything possible to succeed in the careers that I wanted, which is running my own business. That was my biggest takeaway from it. It wasn't to do a job. It wasn't to find some random thing and work in it. Wasn't to climb a hierarchical ladder. My vision was to have my own business. I learned those skills. I applied those skills. It was very A to B, which I really like UFE for. To go down deeper into it, I got a very fanatical sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Do you mind if I just say it in Hindi?
Yeah.
You have a reassurance कि एक जज्बा जो आप में है, एक जो vision आपने सोचा हुआ है, that enthusiasm that you have in you is actually something that can be fulfilled, and it is something that can be taught. It's not something that you necessarily have to do by yourself all alone from scratch. Knowledge exists. It exists at UFE. All you have to do is come in and take it. Grab it like a sponge and just suck everything up as you can. That's my biggest advice to anybody who's at UFE. There's all these things that exist here. You have your clubs, you have your student company program, you have your student ambassador programs, you have your theoretical learning based classes and seminars, you have counseling, you have these podcasts, you have so much happening here on campus. And I'm not even going into the side of the other course programs that are BA and BCIS. There's a lot that is being offered in just one hallway that people may think just because it's a smaller size, it's not worth what it's set out to be. It absolutely is. You just have to be in the mindset that nobody's going to be spoon feeding you. You have to be the one to come here and take it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time and your stories and your accounts of Fraser Valley India. I'm sure it's going to be super beneficial for all the people who tune in to hear especially advice for the transition to Canada. So thank you so much.
I'm glad.